As you know, the Epstein Files have been a trending topic. But today I stumbled across a video where a guy has found who Epstein reveals who he is working for. So I think that's something that we all should take a look at because I think that with that we'll find the root of the problem, hopefully. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into it. But first, please go ahead, like this video, comment, and share your thoughts. If you could, please hype this video up for me. It does help push me into the algorithm, and it does help further push this information out to the public for the people that do not understand the full extent of what is actually going on and what is being revealed here and what is being withheld as well. So I'm gonna jump over there with you, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look.
There's some more crazy revelations coming out of the Epstein files. He actually confirms who he worked for. And no, it's not Mossad. Actually, I don't think he worked for Mossad. I think Mossad worked for him. That's how batshit crazy this guy was. So let me go and show you an email. Now, this is an email chain between Epstein and Peter Thiel. As you guys know, Peter Thiel is the venture capitalist that looks like someone out of a Terminator movie. Why this guy has been put on a pedestal, I don't know. But at the bottom, Peter says, will be hard as I'm scrambling on getting ready for China. Anyone else in New Mexico? That's what the NM stands for. Now, Jeffrey replies saying, as you probably know, I represent the Rothschilds. I was hoping to figure out a way for the bank that has 160 billion in management can do something in tech. Best client list in the world. Prehistoric products. It can wait. Good luck in China. I'll be in Europe again, then Ireland. So if you want to come around the world going west, come to the island, or if you'd like to meet me in Saudi at the end of the month. He works for the Rothschilds? Do you guys know who the Rothschilds are? But let me finish this email chain first. Thiel replies, certainly not in Saudi. Just think I will avoid the Middle East for the next decade or so. Should be back in East Coast in late April or May, sometime in New York or on the island. To which Jeffrey says, no rush. Did you get any feedback on the Valor Guy's view of Ehud Barak's company? Not my sweet spot, as you know. Now, I've got more emails coming, but let's break this down. For those of you that are millennials, you'll know that when we first got the internet, late 90s, early 2000s, the earliest conspiracy theories spoke about the Rothschilds, a banking family coming out of Europe who funded a lot of the wars. In today's world, you don't hear that name often, and it is said on paper they don't really own as many banks as they did in the past. But why is he saying he represents the Rothschilds? The most famous prominent Rothschild today is Ariana de Rothschild. And there's emails between her and Epstein to come that are going to blow your mind. But in all the conspiracy theories that you've heard about Illuminati and Freemasons or whoever own the world, the name attributed to this are the Rothschilds, this elite banking family that controlled the entire money supply. In fact, Henry Kissinger, I'm going to read this quote out to you. He says, who controls the food supply controls the people, who controls the energy can control whole continents, and who controls money can control the whole world. And if ever there was a shadowy government controlling everything and people said it was the Rothschild, I'd probably believe it. But again, these were the earliest conspiracy theories back in the day. But let's move on now. In the emails, there's a letter, right? And Jeffrey Epstein himself has named himself the president of the Southern Trust Company. Now, this is a letter of agreement on behalf of the Southern Trust Company. This is a Virgin Islands corporation, and it confirms that he's been collaborating with Ariane de Rothschild on behalf of Edmund de Rothschild Holdings. Edmund is one of the senior members of the family back in the day. But if you look at this figure here, $25 million. So what this agreement was is that Ariana is going to hire Epstein as a consultant. In other words, what Epstein was, he was an access agent. He was given a whole bunch of money by Les Wexner, the founder of Victoria's Secret, and he was able to make contacts and get information on prominent people so then he can sell to other agencies. Yes, some of it is blackmail, so to gain political favors. It seems Ariane Rothschild was behind a lot of it too. Who to target, who to leave alone, who to influence, to shape the current world we live in. And the one thing you'll notice about Epstein is that every single person who is named in these files or came in contact with them None of them have ever criticized Israel. Coincidence? So now I have a communication chain directly between Epstein and Ariane de Rothschild. So in December 2018, Epstein says, I thought you found it amusing that in a Harvard class on Hitler, they told the story that he was so poor he lived in a shelter for the homeless, that he had been financed by three wealthy families, the Gutmans, the Epsteins, and the Rothschilds. It turns out to be accurate. The reason why that's important is because they're Jewish families. To which Ariane replied, whether it's a way to say that generosity is not rewarded or that the conspiracy theory still exists is quite pathetic. So she rejects this notion, but not quite. Epstein responds by saying, first, it turns out to be 100% true. Hitler was selling his clothes and artwork and living in a shelter funded by Jews. Epstein, Rothschilds, and Gutmans, these are names of families back then. No conspiracy, the Epsteins were the Vienna bankers, bought their bank on the ring, hence still Palais Epstein. Where are you? I'm in bed with your cold. So wait, Hitler was funded by Jews? Huh? What does that mean? Now she replies and she goes, I know it is true, but regularly used to say that Rothschilds planned and supported Hitler in mass destruction gain of power. What she's trying to say is they may have financed him in the beginning, but the moment Hitler turned and went crazy, that's when they didn't finance him and they stopped. She then says, I'm in the Maldives, also with a cold since yesterday. I've been diving a lot, back in Europe on the 3rd. And then there's more communication. December 31st, 2018, New Year's Eve. She sends him a message saying, did you get my video with the girls? I've no idea what that means, but given the context of Epstein, it just sounds fucked up. I've got more communications coming where we can connect a few dots, but why are two Jews, Epstein and this Ariane Rothschild lady, like they literally just confirmed in this email casually that wait a minute, it was Jews that funded Hitler all along. Now again, I don't really believe conspiracy theories. And of course, the Holocaust was a tragedy, one of the worst of our lifetime or a previous lifetime. None of us were born then. But what the fuck is this email? If you go further down the rabbit hole, there's more communication where Epstein is asked, would you like to come to the Rothschild house with me and Ehud Barak on the 30th? Why is an Israeli former prime minister being mentioned with the Rothschilds and Jeffrey Epstein? This is why I think he didn't work directly for or with Mossad per se. I think when Mossad needed information to go after certain individuals, because Mossad is the worst fucking intelligence agency in the history of mankind, I think they went to him. Because even he knew more than they did. He had more dirt more than Mossad. That is insane. In this email, Jeffrey says, in case you are interested, First Mark Holding, Lady Rothschild's in vehicle managed by star director Conrad Black. So, seems to me he's doing some kind of business deal, but then who's Conrad Black? Well, Conrad Black is a former politician and now a convicted felon. But what's interesting is Conrad was one of the few that came to Prince Andrew's defense. What was Conrad Black getting up to, huh? But obviously, you can see here that the world of the Rothschilds and the world of Epstein and his other people and his business deals, they're all involved. The Rothschilds would never let any Tom, Dick, and Harry go and manage their money or something of that nature. So this Conrad Black certainly had his fingers in some pies. In fact, it gets a little bit darker. If you look at this email, this is from Epstein to a guy called Joshua Cooper Ramo. Who is he? You don't know? I'll get to that in a second. He says, I would like you to meet the Rothschilds, French bank Ariane, when she comes back to New York on the 22nd of September. So the question is, who is Joshua Ramo? Well, he is the executive of Henry Kissinger Associates. Yes, Henry Kissinger, one of the biggest mass criminals in world history, has his own company where he consults, or now he's passed away, but has employees who consult for other firms. But you see how the rabbit hole is all interconnected? Henry Kissinger, who's Jewish, who murdered I don't know how many in Vietnam, Cambodia, and all them areas, right? Jeffrey Epstein, another Jew, Rothschilds, they're Jewish too. Again, connected to Peter Thiel, who right now, with Palantir, who's listening to your phone conversations all around the world, mass surveillance. At the same time, this guy's telling us, by the way, it was our own people that funded Hitler. Yes, he took 6 million of our lives, but we're the one that funded him. The way Epstein was talking in those emails suggested as if the story about Hitler, well, half of it hasn't been told. I was shocked reading that shit. What do you think?